Welcome back to this JKR Pro Tips. This is a continuation of last week's video about why ball pythons don't eat sometimes and what to do about it. So this week I'm going to give you my number one tip to get ball pythons back on feed. So I want to give credit where credit is due. So I learned this from one of the titans of this industry, one of the original ball python breeders and pioneers, Tracy and Dave Barker. They're from VPI. Amazing people, and they have done so much research over the years on ball pythons and different python species. So it was around the year 2010, and I actually visited a symposium down in Daytona where Dave and Tracy were speaking, and they talked about how these species, like ball pythons, that are ambush hunters, which means they don't go out looking for food a lot. They go and they sit in a hole, they find a spot, and they wait for food to cross their paths. You kind of know that something's an ambush hunter when it has a big, heavy-bodied snake, like a ball python, like blood pythons. They're big, they're heavy. They don't move around a ton. They're more sedentary than a lot of other species who are long and thin and very agile and higher metabolism. So at the symposium, Tracy was talking about how these ambush hunters, a lot of times they'll find a spot, whether it be down in a hole or somewhere else, where they will literally eat any rodents that will cross by for a period of time. But after a while, after sitting there a while, they'll have to shed, and they'll have to poop every so often, of course, too. But once they do that at their ambush location, that location essentially becomes non-tenable to continue to find food there, because no self-respecting rodent is going to walk by with the smell of snake, either from feces or from the shed skin there. So these snakes will tend to not poop very often, and they would sit there, literally eat up what they can, then shed and poop, and then leave and find a new spot, a brand new spot that's untainted, where they can find rodents all over again. So this kind of led to me learning more about and tinkering more with how to get ball pythons back into feed, using that information about how they live in the wild and how they operate. So what I've found is the very best time to get a ball python to start eating, if it's been off feed, is after it's shed. And so in the last video we talked a lot about how when they create these habits of not eating in a certain situation for a long time, the shed cycle kind of gives you a good window to kind of reset the snake. So what I'll do, whether the snake's on feed or not, I have a policy of every time it sheds, I give the tub a completely full clean, I scrub everything, I make sure there's no smell of the snake. And so when the snake goes back into that brand new full clean tub, it's like it's entering a brand new environment, a brand new hole, a brand new situation where it can eat, and it fits into the natural kind of mentality of the snake that this is a new feeding location. And I found that so many times a snake that has refused a few meals or even a lot of meals, after it's shed, after we've moved to a brand new situation, even if it's the same tub, if it's completely scrubbed clean, that is a unique opportunity to get the snake to eat again. So that's my number one tip, is to kind of change the environment, use those natural kind of cues the animals have, go ahead and full clean that tub, create the perfect storm, if you will, perfect situation for them to go back onto feed. So they may shed, they may poop, go ahead and give it a clean tub, a brand new tub, maybe a different size tub. Go ahead and give it a really good meal a few days later after it's gone into that new environment, a meal that's not going to be very intrusive, maybe a little smaller than it's used to. Maybe if it's having a hard time on frozen thaw, and give it a live one and kind of coax it back and start to recreate that habit of eating, because it's all about habits in my experience with ball pythons specifically. If this has been helpful to you, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Patreon, on Instagram, all the different places, and I love connecting with all of you. See you next video.